in the studio with Red. Not off to a good start at Heroes of Humility, Pierce and 11.
Heroes
of
Humility, 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 humility. This is not a charade. This is real. These words you are about to hear are coming from real humans on a mission to save the human race from itself. Buckle up while these delusional heroes of humility, aka hoes, attempt to right the wrongs in everyday human behavior. And appreciate you guys. One of you had to make a drive a little ways, but you got free beef jerky today. That was
I'm so
wasn't
excited.
that the best jerky?
It was.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of strange. Like I came to the door, and as soon as I walked in, you're like, "You want jerky?"
I get right to the point, dude. I don't mess around.
I thought it was jerky.
I thought it was.
And it was not.
Yeah, no.
I was disappointed.
It doesn't matter. I brought it from my heart.
It just caught me off guard
Yeah.
because it just.
Your
Did I
heart
have a
has
look of?
prepackaged jerky?
It has.
Did I have a
jerky.
look of? This guy needs jerky in his mouth.
Yeah, it had no
It was
salt.
a power play. It was
No
a power play
yeah,
by
I
Pierce.
own you.
Yeah, I own
I
you.
own you, bitch. When you come in, I
You
give
get
you
meat in your
jerky and
mouth.
I tell you what to do. Welcome back, and we hope you enjoy the show. This is a show about social oddities. We're all kind of odd, but we pick on ourselves, we pick on others because this way we can laugh about it. When you're out in the world, sometimes it doesn't make you laugh. But this way, if we can give it a spin and we can show you that it's good to laugh at it and how to laugh at it, that's what Hose is about. We are all hoed up today. And we were talking a little bit about those embarrassing situations where you got to be thrust into the social ecosystem with somebody that doesn't quite get you and also isn't a hang, isn't somebody that maybe you would select out of the group to go hang with, but you make the best out of it. Why? Because maybe your girlfriend wants to hang out with these people because this is her husband, and this guy, he's not your kind of guy. He's just, this is not my kind of guy, but we got to hang out, dude. So that's something that we're going to get into. Anyway, you guys doing good?
Fantastic.
Yeah. Have you been in that situation, Red, where you've got to go into a close quarters situation with somebody and just hang out for a while? And it's like, yeah. Man.
Absolutely. I mean, I think most of us have been there where one of our loved ones has a friend that they know really well, and they're like, "Oh, and you're gonna get along so well with them. They got a new man. You're gonna get along with him too. We're gonna have dinner, and you're gonna have so much fun because this is one of my closest friends." And you're gonna like, okay, sure. If maybe you have a positive spin on it, you're like, well, if this girl is really good friends with my wife, she probably has similar taste in men, and I'll probably get along with this guy. And
you're 42 plus. Let's go make new friends. Yeah,
right,
what we do right after your 40s. You want to go find more friends, and it's funny, dude. That doesn't. No more does that enter into my mind where I want to go make new friends.
Especially when you're dealing with couples, because inherently, sometimes if you have I remember having a really good friend when I was dating my wife, and I had a friend that was a guy I hung out quite a bit with. But my wife couldn't stand him. So it was like, okay, now I had to pick and choose. Oh, my bro's coming in town. Well, that means my girlfriend, I can't hang out with my girlfriend. Or vice versa. And it was, you like both people and tension. And it's hard to choose. And that was just one example. But I'll tell you, most recently, I definitely can talk about it now because my ex-brother-in-law, he was one of those ones that came into my life because my sister-in-law married him. And I remember one of the first things she said, "Oh, you're going to love him. He's a car guy." And I consider myself a car guy. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know every single car type of thing like that. But you think, hey, I'm a car guy. I can probably have something in common with this guy. Because, if he was like, "Oh, you're going to love this guy. He's a football dude." Yeah. I'd probably go,
we're pretty much on the same page. With
right.
the car
so
things.
You can kind of get that what I'm talking about. So she goes, "You're going to like him. He's a car guy. So you're going to have something similar to talk about." So, you go to this dinner, we're going to have sushi, and you're like, "Hey man, how's it going? Nice to meet you." So now you're like, okay, I'm going to be forced to be with this dude.
Small talk,
too. Because especially at least in my area, my sister-in-law and my wife will get into the girl conversations, and inherently the guys have to kind of come up on their own topic, which you're like, okay, cool, car guy. Yeah. I'll get along with this guy. Well, he only knew one car brand, one actually car model.
Not a car guy.
And that's all he wanted to talk about, which unfortunately was a model of car that wasn't that important to me, so I didn't know really a lot about. So
let's get into the nitty gritty, dude. What was this car that
he's a Nissan GTR guy?
Okay,
and
all right.
Like
someone watched Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I hate to prejudge.
Did it have a spoiler?
Much,
Did it have a
car boner?
I think so. I mean, our Nissan GTR is cool, yes, but it would be like, okay, do I think Corvettes are cool? Yes. But it would only, to me, in my mind, only knowing a Corvette and Corvette only and saying you're a car person. To me, you only know the Corvette. You don't know anything else about even Chevrolet, the brand. You know what I'm saying? There's so much more outside of it. I'll tell you right now, I don't know everything about like foreign cars. I do like Ferraris and exotics and stuff like that, but here I delve into this topic. But anyways, you get into this, you're forced into this dinner, this interaction, the social interaction with somebody, and you're like looking forward to it, and it's just like, oh yeah, well, I like American cars, and I think that this, and you can see their eyes glaze over, and they don't have anything to say because they're so different. A Nissan GTR is so different than a 1969 Camaro. Right. So how do you compare the two? Well, one has all-wheel drive and blah, 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 blah. You can go. It's two different topics. Yeah. Maybe to some of our listeners that aren't car people would be like, okay, you're going to get along with this guy because you're a football guy and this guy plays lacrosse. Yeah. It's two different things. They might go on a field and you might have a ball or something in common, but it's two different things.
How dare you?
Well, that's the thing. Like when you and I met, we started talking cars, and it's just kind of like, I got a love for all classic cars, really.
I remember when you guys first met, 2 pairs of belts coming off, and you guys just dropped trow and started hugging.
I remember.
I don't know what it is. I don't think it went like that.
It was a very passionate, embrace for a long. No, dude, I interrupted your story.
He's trying to get us back.
No, I got you back. No. I got you back. But go ahead, tell your story. No, tell your story. No, my point is it was love at first sight. Come on, don't try to say it wasn't. You guys,
I'm
you guys
just
are
trying
in
to
love.
say that's what a car guy is.
Yeah.
Like you love cars, right?
Yeah.
You kind of want to know everything about as many of them as you can.
Yeah.
You're not just kind of like into this one car and that's it.
Well, yeah, that and like, how do you put it too? Because I mean, if you're a car person, you have your favorites, or sometimes, most of the time, a car guy might have a certain type of car. Like, say he's interested just in sports cars, and of any make. Well, to me, I'm a Chevy guy, GM guy. I kind of like those models, but if one of my good friends growing up had a Mustang, he's a Ford guy, so it's kind of like our arch enemies, but I'd help him work on his car, he'd help me work, so there was still the love and respect of like, but we'd give each other hell, like, dude, I wish your car could keep up with mine, and he would say the same to me, and we'd crack jokes about each other, but he also knew about Chevys because he helped me work on mine. That car guy was way different than my brother-in-law, and there was his sense of humor too. So to get back to the point of what we were talking about was being put in these odd situations, and you're trying to make the best out of it, but then you find yourself trying to like look for different topics. Have you kind of like, okay, maybe I'll talk about the weather.
Find some common ground.
Yeah, right? Like, okay, it's hot outside. Yeah, it sure is.
You know what's funny when you I was thinking about your story, and obviously there's phases of this, so how does it start out? It doesn't start out, what's your favorite car? I would think there's maybe a small 1 or 2 sentences before that, and it's those sentences before you get into any like thing that has any meat on the bone where you're like, we both know we're just trying to say stuff right now. We're just saying stuff right now, dude. Okay. You're looking at me. I know our eyes have to we have to look at each other, and you're just saying stuff and I'm just saying stuff.
All been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. Well, how's the weather? Oh yeah. Who do you like? Whatever, even if it's just like, okay, what's your favorite sports team? This is all just stuff, that's why when I reached a certain point in my life, I was like, okay, now I have the luxury of, I've got all the friends I need. I know who's my bro, and and this sounds a little antisocial, but I think we all get to a place where now I'm extroverted. I like meeting people. I do, but I don't want to be dragged to a scenario where I've been taken to a party that I, it wasn't my plan. I wasn't hitting it off with.
So how was this orgy? Can you describe it? No,
yeah, I mean, it was awkward because
it was what you're saying.
I wanted a little
beef jerky all over.
I thought there should be a little small talk first. We don't just go into the. But anyway, you guys are gross.
I bet you they offered a bigger piece of beef jerky.
Yeah, just flopped it right out, didn't you?
Yeah, let's see. Is the video working? I want to use my nonverbals to just kind of show you guys. That's enough. But trying to make the small talk and then finding the common ground. And I just want to get there quickly. But as you get older, you're like, let's just look, dude. Okay, look, you probably like Fords. I'm a GMC, whatever. And this is not going to be. We're not going to be copacetic. So let's just part ways. You go to that end of the house. I'll go over here. Neither of us have our socks on right now. Let's not make it any weirder. Okay. And let's just not make it weird. So I found a couple of people at this party, and here's my thing. They were jokesters. They were funny. They were laughing. And so we hung out. And then, I don't know, one thing led to the other. The next thing is we're all like dancing or doing weird. It was just like we were messing around. There was no music. I was doing impersonations from movies. They were laughing at them.
Do the listeners know how good of a karaoke person you are?
I mean, I've never sung on the show. If you wanted, I mean, we could have an episode where, I don't know, maybe some Whitesnake.
Yes. Let's hear it.
Dude, I did for the first time.
On the other hand, maybe not.
You know what? I go with somebody, and her name's Merlin. She's going to be on the shows one day. But she's like, I can't do that song anymore because I heard somebody do it, and it was so good, and now I've got that in my head. I can't do it like that. And I'm like, that's not how you do it. Everybody's been probably to a karaoke place, and they're like, oh, I can't do it unless I drink. That's because you're too much in your head about it, and you're maybe introverted or whatever, but you don't go there because everybody's trying to audition to be on Star Search or
America's Got Talent.
Everybody's got talent. Whatever, dude.
Star Search. I like that. I
Star
remember that
Search,
reference.
Man. So, that's how some people with Tiffany, I think that's how maybe I don't know, was she at the mall? Dude, we digress. You guys are way off topic. But anyway, I made a comment too that I watched the Tiffany video, I want to say. We all are going to age gracefully. Okay. We're all going to age gracefully the best that we can, but just take care of yourself. And I felt bad because I saw Tiffany having a hard time the other day because when I went in the black hole seeing what's Tiffany up to nowadays.
He does this a lot.
It wasn't a good. It wasn't a good.
Sends me video links of 80s.
It's educational, dude.
Yeah, it's like every other day.
Well,
he just sends it out of the blue, just boom.
Just GIFs, little. I mean, not like
GIFs,
but GIFTs, like really GIFs of like culture and just things that you need to see before you die. That's a bucket list video I sent you. It's a bucket list video. What was I saying about going to parties and trying to hang out with people,
before we really interrupted you, yes, you had gone to this party. Bastards. It wasn't an orgy, but you were put there, and then you got put in.
All I remember is we had to go to another neighborhood, and then we had to make the whole drive over there, and then we're hanging out, and next thing I know, we did.
See how upset he is from driving all the way to another neighborhood?
They had what's that? At the time, it was like Wii, or was the dance thing or whatever.
Oh, the video game system where it kind of moves.
Yeah,
like and table tennis or something.
It doesn't
like
rate
that.
You properly, dude. It's not like you're getting a legit judging of your true abilities. It's probably like using some kind of algorithm that's all jacked up. But I did, I'm like, oh, okay. And nobody wanted to, and like I said, I'm not going to just sit there and make small talk. I'm like, okay, obviously you guys have this set up. Let's get into this. Right. So I picked a song. Is it one that I would be proud of? Like I said, we've talked about this before, maybe no, but I could dance to it. And I want to say, It was a groove. It was one that I could dance to, but you just got to let it go, man. And you just got to have a good time.
Be in the moment.
And if I can't find somebody like that's willing to just let go and they seem uptight I get it. Everybody has their little things, but I can't last too long like that. I've got to have, you guys are good hangs. And I don't like that. Didn't sound good, but you know what I mean is like you guys are fun to hang out with.
Right back to that party.
You guys are fun to hang out with. You
Hangs pretty low.
You laugh once in a while. We hang.
What are good tips that you guys can think of when you're put in those awkward scenarios where your wife takes off with her, sister or best friend, and they go off, and now you're forced into talk to this boyfriend or husband,
you listen
and you're like,
and just try to relate, dude.
You just try to smile once in a while.
That's it.
Throw a
it's
smile.
It's torture. I've been there so many times.
It seems like it should be doable. You should be able.
Usually, like if they would say anything about me, like everything that I used to do and all that stuff, then it would make it even worse. I'm like, make sure they don't tell me anything. Like I just want to go there and hang out. Like
Have you guys been ever stuck in this one? Have you ever had like a party at your house or just people over, multiple people over, and it's your house? I'm sitting on the couch. The TV's just on something. Usually my wife makes it put on something random where like home and garden TV or something like that. And usually the volume's low. Remember this one instance, this newer boyfriend that came over, he's a sports nut. And he's like, hey, man, do you mind if I put on the game since you're not watching this, right?
Crank the volume up.
And he puts on the game. I can't remember what game it was. And it was definitely something I wasn't interested in. And he's sitting on the couch, so it's just us two watching this game.
May I and I don't lose track of your story, and I apologize. I don't like to interrupt. I think it's rude.
Shit,
but dude, so rude. When somebody comes over to your house and then asks you and turns your TV on,
I will say he asked. He asked, and I mean, what are you as the host? What would you say? Like, no, you can't do that.
I'd be trying to figure out how to say that.
He wouldn't even let me get the water.
Yeah, I'd be trying to figure out how to say it.
Yeah.
Now, that was you. I got your water today because I could tell it was going to be a mess. But the thing is, dude, is that when somebody comes over, dude, you do not touch another person's TV.
I like the insight because I kind of felt the same way. And I was like, okay, maybe it's his team. You know what I mean? Like, if it's your team in the playoffs, you're like, okay, I get it. Like, sometimes we're all forced into go to somewhere we don't want to go to. We'd rather something else. Oh, he'd rather probably be home watching that game because it's his team is in the finals or whatever. I kind of sympathize. Like, okay, cool, dude. Yeah, watch. Yeah, good. Well, then it's on, and you can tell he's like zoned in on that. At what point you're kind of,
did he break out his own bag of potato chips too?
No. He's eating my potato chips.
Whoa, dude!
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
ridiculous.
At what point I'm sitting on the couch? You're like, dude, I don't know anything about what we're watching. Do I ask questions? Would that be annoying? Do I try to have a conversation with him, or do I just get up and disappear?
Remember when we said, was it on this show or the last one?
House, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's your house. Was it on this show or the last one when we introduced the fact that I gave you guys jerky when you came over? Was that this one?
That was the last one. We talked about it.
Well, when you guys came over, I gave you jerky. I own you. Dude, if that guy comes to your house and he's eating your potato chips and he turns your TV on, you own this guy.
Well, I'll tell you.
How dare him?
That person has become more than a boyfriend and now a husband. And now this has happened several different times. And I'm kind of like, because I even brought it up. I was like, I thought because I can't remember the team. I was like, I thought that was your team. And he's like, well, no, he's the type of guy that he has ESPN 24/7. If he's not watching a game, there's a game or the game is coming up. And I guess it's hard for me to wrap my brain about it because, like, if I like a certain sports team, I'll watch that sports team. If it's not them, they lose out and it goes into the playoffs.
Yeah, he's probably playing fantasy football.
Yeah, I'm sure he's into all that stuff. And to me, it's not my world. So I'm kind of like, dude, like, I guess in my mind, I thought that was your team, not just you wanting to watch highlights on ESPN. Like, again, it's at a party. Like, technically, I'm not watching what I want to watch on TV as it is because I get in trouble by the wife. But
and you're having a social gathering.
You're supposed to be interacting with other humans.
Dude, there's on so many levels. This is like, it's not, I wouldn't even say, and I know, pardon my expression, but it's not even, it's like this alpha thing. It's like beyond. In Wild Kingdom, if a gorilla came in and started eating your potato chips and watching your TV, all the other gorillas would be like, oh, this is not, no, dude, this isn't good. And,
okay, good. That makes me actually feel
this
better.
This isn't right, dude. This is, and this guy, he's not my kind of guy. I'm sorry. Like, you need to know that you don't, like, I've had some people come over that, kind of acquaintances, but they're not really even family. Like, I'm trying to think of whoever has had the audacity to grab the remote or even ask me to grab the remote. No, I'm going to have to say that's not appropriate, dude. That's like
11. You have to have some sort of similar thing where that happened. What's your feeling on that?
I've got tons. I mean, we've all been through that, being married, and man, we've got some.
I've never seen him try to be quiet. Yeah, that's hard. So it's kind of a tough topic because you might be thinking of certain people and they they are.
They could be listening.
They could listen, dude. They could listen.
It's true. It's a tough We've all been there though.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it's happened a lot with work because I used to be stuck with someone, like flying to another country, like on the other side of the world, you know?
Oh yeah.
And you know, when you get there, work's kind of done and then you have, like, let's say a day or whatever to hang out and kind of relax before you have to fly all the way back. And you pretty much hang together. It's kind of like
it's just you two.
But man, I've been on some of them trips with the worst people, dude. They're just a snore fest. And I'm like, dude, just go back and go to sleep or something, man.
It's okay for you to go back to the hotel.
I'm going to find something to do. And they're like, no. Oh man,
dude, they should recognize it and they should be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And I've at least been on trips like that, and the other person realizes, okay, we're not going to be probably laughing at the same stuff. So you go do your thing, I'll do mine, and at least they recognize that much.
I always felt guilty because sometimes it would be with like a female or some smaller guy that doesn't, you know, he's like not some tactical dude or whatever, and I kind of feel bad because we're in like this shitty country.
Oh, you're in a situation that requires
but they want to go kind of experience some of it, but they don't want to. They're not going to go by themselves.
So now
they're going to go with me.
Yeah, you have to be there.
So I'm like, all right, I'll just go do whatever you want to do. Just pick something, dude, and we'll go do it.
And you happen to talk Thai, and the next thing you guys know, you're in a small room with a bunch of ladies, and you're having to explain. Look, he doesn't like this kind of. He likes it this way, and that's awkward, man. We've all been in that situation.
Boys, not me.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough situation. Man. 11 is worldly, dude, and when I make fun of this little story, it's probably not too far from the truth, honestly. Look at him, dude. Look at his face. Is the camera working over there?
I'm getting images of the movie Hangover. I think it was 2 where they're in Thailand. And you wake up and you see the photos the next day and you're like, holy crap, that's what we did.
The tiger's licking 11's butthole. Yeah.
Where do you think they got the idea for that movie?
Yeah. There exactly. You go.
Yeah, that's tough, man, when you got to hang out with people. Small talk, all that stuff. I try to avoid those situations. As you get older, you feel like they should be more. When you were a kid, you were forced. You know, you had to be. We're going to so okay.
Be on your best behavior.
Yeah, Pierce. You better say please, thank you, hello,
nice
to meet you.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Still today, yeah, right?
Yeah, you're still being told.
On your best behavior. Don't start me shit. Okay, man, I'll chill.
Yeah, that's funny because you know what? I still get that nowadays. We're going over to, and it's like one of those instances. The husband or the boyfriend's there, and she already knows I don't get along, and it's like, be on your best behavior. And you're just
what it is? Like,
I gotta say something.
I'm always really good in any situation, man. But I call people's bullshit out, and I don't care. I got like no filter.
That'll be a fun party. That's a fun
so it's
party.
like someone's. It used to get me in trouble at work all the time, but to people
it's
telling
hard
their
to
bullshit war stories, I'd be like, nah, you're a liar.
Yeah, it's hard to go across a lot of different medias where people just have a hard time. But when you're forced into a room with somebody, have a hard time not sharing or expressing what they want to say, especially when they're listening to somebody that is pretty much telling, the very opposite end of what your experience is or whatever. That's tough. But when you're forced into a room with that person and then everybody has to kind of play nice, you should be able to manage that.
It turns into a bunch of phoniness, man.
Yeah, I don't. That's what
I know.
Despise that. Yeah, I do. I know what you mean.
And sometimes
you hate to be
whatever, dude. I love my wife, and I'll go suck it up for a while. I'll go be this phony. I just look like a grumpy ass. Like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah,
nothing.
You're just going
like, don't, my stomach is upset or something.
Now, let me ask you guys this, since we're talking about wives. Do you get, like, I call it brownie points. if I'm doing something that my wife knows I don't like, but I'm doing it to appease her, whether it's hanging out with somebody I don't want points. To, going to a movie, I'm like, hey, I'm getting brownie points for this, right?
Like BJ when we get home.
That's not going to earn interest.
Hey, sometimes it turns into hey, you get earning interest on these brownie points. I was extra good. I didn't say shit while we were at that home and garden show.
So many times when I wanted to.
But man. Do you? I mean, am I the only one that operates on brownie points? That like when we first started dating, it was like, oh man, I gotta go see the Sex and the City movie. God, it's so stupid. But I knew that I'd get to go see a movie that I wanted to see that she wasn't interested the next time, or get some of those really good extra credit brownie points cashed in that I wanted. So I'm like, okay, I'll suck it up for a couple hours. I'm gonna watch this lame old movie. But I mean, you guys got to operate on the same.
I think there's a point in a relationship too where somebody decides, let's recognize one another's limitations, and let's try not to ask unsavory or injudicious things of the other person. And my significant other is an angel in that way, honestly, because I look around, dude. I've got some. Look, if this has to be reserved to one section of the house, because it just would be. She's patient, is what I'm saying. She's a patient. She's a blessing for me. So yeah, you gotta. I think at one point you gotta recognize: am I making this person miserable? I mean, yeah, I get brownie points. That is cool. I don't know. That's probably an unspoken thing for us. I mean, I haven't tabulated them mentally. She's probably got way more. I'm probably at a deficit with the brownie points.
Yeah, but I think us as guys, we're always gonna be on the lower deficit because in their minds they live for the relationship, and we just. Like are there?
You sound like son of a bitch, dude.
I'm a caveman for sure.
Yeah, she's so lucky though, Mrs. Red. If you're listening, I know he's one of the best.
She's fantastic. I will tell you what, she's fantastic. But I will tell you there are things I sacrifice, like bro time. You know what I mean? Like I will say I miss doing some of the bro stuff, and I think maybe we can talk about sometimes the other level. The next topic we were going to talk about was hanging with some of your bros. The older you get and the more things happen with your job and other crap, family stuff, you lose the bro time you had when you were in your 20s, because your 20s was all about bro time and you had nothing but bro time. So when you get older, you're like, dude, there's a cool movie I want to go see, or, I want to go hit the racetrack. They have like bring your own car event. Oh, sorry, man, I got a birthday party. There's a wedding I got to go to. And it sucks. The older you get, you don't get to do the things you want to do in the time that you have.
Think about this. When I woke up this morning, I thought about, dude, it's bro day. Like, this is
right,
bro day.
That's what I'm saying.
But I haven't had that in a while since I was a kid. You remember when you were a kid and you woke up, I'm going to go get Joey. We're going to ride our bikes and we're going to go check out that other zip code.
The whole day.
You were gone the whole day and you took it for granted, but you were used to that kind of feeling of excitement. And now you don't really experience that thought anymore because these are so seldom. Yeah. And that's that's one of the things that I mean, this is kind of my baby, but the reason that I had this thought of this podcast is because, and I think this happens to a lot of people as you get older, you lose that part of yourself a little bit. And a lot of your day is strung together with things that you have to do.
Absolutely.
A lot of things that you have to get done. And those things become the things that you're anticipating and planning for. And okay, after I do this, then I can do this. And you lose the kind of anticipation that you used to have when you were a kid and you knew it was time to get up and all you had to do was get your buddy and your bike and you were good. But now it's almost hard to remember what that's like because I have been so busy, and we used to go to lunch a lot, Red. Now that's what this is. And I talk to 11 every night. We game and stuff. But I look forward to those moments, man, because I miss that. If you've forgotten what that's like, and hopefully you're getting a small taste of it here on the show, that's what this is about, is because that was healthy, man. That was good for us. And now we've gotten so busy. I know when I first met 11, this guy shot out of a cannon. He's been domesticated, and he hasn't lost any of the edge or any of the cool factor, But I know
I get made fun of.
I know that.
Guys.
Yeah, he's always, and he loves Amanda so much, and he's talks about the kids, and he's got all these things he wants to do for them. But all right, I love them too. Like, and I haven't spent much time with them, but I can tell I love them. We're gonna go do this. Like, we're gonna go do some flips when we do some videos for the hose, or we're gonna do a podcast, or let's go check this out. You know, we're gonna go game or whatever. And these are things that I feel like it's a little bit of trying to recapture your youth a little bit, and it shouldn't be just a part of your youth. It should be an ongoing endeavor or part of your life. It's good for you, you know?
No, absolutely. And I will say it. I think 11 was just telling me one of the last times we were talking that he went skydiving, and like his bro time is like on a different tier. Cause I'm thinking of like just having a beer at a bar, and he's like, let's go skydiving. I'm like, holy shit, dude, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's my buddies that I grew up with too, man. Like,
I'd love to, you know,
they want to go whitewater rafting, or like, we always try to think of something. They're all adrenaline junkies like me, man. We all grew up together doing a bunch of crazy shit.
Damn. See, I'm jealous of that, because I did, like.
But they didn't go in the Army. They didn't do all that stuff. My one best friend, he's, we've been besties since 14 or something, and lived on the same street. He's like, he works for Best Buy. I think runs a Best Buy store or something. He's super successful, but man, when we get together, he comes out. I think he's going to come out next month. Maybe we'll have him on the show.
Yeah, dude, that'd be cool.
Oh, there you go.
He comes out here, and we go hit the Salt River Rapids and stuff, and
awesome,
and like stand up on the paddle boards and get down there and go crazy. But yeah, no, we're always doing like adrenaline junkie type stuff, man. We're always trying to think of something to do. Like, even when my kids were like babies, remember, did you ever get one of those little plasma bikes? Like, you turn the front wheel back and forth to get going.
Oh, I think my neighbor had one.
We got one, and we ended up turning it into like a racetrack in the backyard.
Nice.
Like, so
brilliant.
We had nothing else, and I had the kid, and I was like, man, we just started like going to see who could do it faster, who could do it. Next thing you know, we're 3 hours deep, man, like sweating bullets. I'm like, man, you beat me by half a second.
There's a buddy of mine that he had this idea of making stadium seating in our living room, so that people would be sitting, you know, above each other. So he had these huge cinder blocks, and it was hideous. It was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen, but I got to give it to him, and he's an engineer and a good buddy of mine. He goes by Ruby Red, but we would set up these obstacle courses in the living room. In order just to get out the door, you had to kind of get through this scenario. So, or we'd be messing around, and we wanted to see how dynamic you could catch the football. The only people that got the best looking catch were the people that just didn't care about their body. So you had to just
sacrifice.
Go. Yeah. And so
I would do it all the time. Right?
Oh man, it was the best.
You got to sacrifice to win, man.
Yeah, you can't. you don't want to go out. I mean, if you're gonna do something, I would just get crazier and crazier and care less and less and less about my prudence. Little mechanics in my brain was just. I just completely shut that thing off, and I'd be like, "This is it. I mean, we got it. This is how I'm gonna die." You know, catching a football in the living room. So we set up all this stuff so you couldn't get through the hallway. It was way too big. The only way to get from the hallway into the living room was to dive across this couch that had been turned on its side. So, and you didn't know what your buddies were going to put on the other end of that. And that was part of the excitement.
You had to be ready for whatever.
Yeah. So then we decided you had to have a defender, and then my buddy was the defender. And when I went out there, he's like, okay, look, just when you land, make sure you're like this and not like this, you know? So I did like this, and he was like, and he caught an elbow, and then I don't know what happened. I felt a hard part of me hit something very soft on him. And when I looked up, because it didn't hurt me, but when I looked up, he was just like, you know, like doing like this, and we were laughing, man. But it was, I mean, just good time, just laugh because I jacked my buddy up. But it had to be done.
Dude, I remember when I spent the night at my buddy's house, and this is back when Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! On Nintendo was like the thing to do. And we were over to his place. I beat his score, and so he was like starting.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
He grabbed me, and he was like trying to wrestle me. And this isn't my house. I'm like, he's got a little twin-size bed. I don't want to break nothing over here. I'm like staying the night. I don't want to ruin my street cred from coming over, right?
Did you ask him if you could turn the TV off and watch what you wanted? Sorry,
no, definitely not. Yeah. This is back before remote controls. I remember he jumped on my back, and I'm like, dude, I was bigger than him. And I'm like, dude, knock it off, man. We're going to get in trouble for like horsing around. And he freaking holding my back. So I flipped him on the bed and he hit the wall. Boom. Like one of those, shook the whole house. And I knew his mom was going to come check out what was going on because it was a loud thud. I sat back down real fast and I was pretending I was playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out again. And he's laying on the bed, like holding his head, like, oh, my head. And she walked in and was like, what happened? And I was like, oh, I think he kind of rolled over or something like that and hit his head.
I think he
And
did.
I was like, because I thought for sure, like, I guess there's a level of, if that would have happened at my house, it would have, you kids can't, it's not going to happen here. You got to go home because you're making too much noise.
Okay.
So I guess in my mind, his level of discipline at his house, it was like, oh, it was an accident type of thing. It wasn't a big deal. Like for me in my mind, oh, well, he tripped and he kind of, it wasn't like we were being rough and breaking stuff, if that makes sense. But
that was kind of your go-to was, I think he tripped. I wonder what she was thinking. She's like, well, how does he think?
And my friend was actually cool with it. He didn't say, no, we were wrestling. No, he just was like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I was at my cousin's house when we were kids, and remember those Tonka trucks?
I love those.
They weighed like 30 pounds. They were all made out of all metal. And
probably with like cancer-causing asbestos paint.
Probably,
they were fantastic.
Everything, and they could kill somebody. But that's what made them so. The trucks you're huge too. The bigger the truck, and then they had that rear end that you could dump, where you just like turn it, and then it would level up and go down. And turning that thing to make it go up and down, there was so much excitement in that moment. But
you felt like you were a real heavy equipment operator.
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
you?
I'm a car guy, so. And then, so we're trying to find these Tonka trucks, and I had the idea that we need all the Tonka trucks. We need to have them all. So he had this closet, and all his stuff is in there. I was going to say toys, but I didn't want to sound like punk, so it was all his gear. All his gear was in the closet. So I'm taking out all the stuff and trying to find the trucks, and I found a truck, and I can't remember if I saw this on a cartoon or something, but I thought it'd be cool if I just start throwing stuff. Yeah, like I just start throwing stuff out of the truck. And I took one of these. I was pretty big. I was yoked, and I was a bit. I was a little,
yoked.
I was a healthy kid, so I grabbed this truck, and maybe for another normal, 4-year-old kid, he wouldn't have been able. I lifted it, dude, and I threw it like this, and I caught some air, and as soon as it left my hand, I was like, shit, dude, that thing's going high. I hope my cousin's out of the way. Like, I hope he recognizes with some agility and cat-like reflexes that he needs to be off to the side. I heard him say, ah, and I turn around, man, and he's going like this, and I was like, don't cry, man. Don't cry, dude.
Cry.
Don't do
We're
anything.
Gonna get in trouble, dude.
And my aunt, she came in there, and man, you did not want to mess with my aunt. She was a tough lady. And she came, what's that noise? What are you guys doing in there? And I was like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. And I think it was about the time when she rounded the corner, and I saw there was some water coming out of his eyes, and I was like, "Oh, damn, dude!" And don't get me wrong, I felt bad for him. Like I had a sensation of, oh man, I hope he's okay, because that Tonka truck is huge. But I was also worried about
save your ass.
I was worried about the way this situation is gonna break. And she's like, "What happened in here?" And man, she loved my cousin.
I accidentally threw the truck.
Yeah. I think the truck may have accidentally.
It accidentally caught some air.
Why do kids say "I think"?
Yeah, because they're making shit up.
Yeah, I said I don't know.
Well, did you throw it? I don't know.
And
that part of the story I can't remember.
What sucked is I provided my explanation of what happened, and then right away she turned to him and she wanted to hear the truth. And that's when I was like, "What's going? How, does my word have nothing here? Have I proven nothing?" That I guess she knew, that I had no credibility, and so she asked him, and I looked at my cousin with all the nonverbal skills that I had to try to convey. Come on, man. Just, you come on, man. And he tried, to his credit, he did try, but he could not hide the emotional and physical scars.
Emotion? Oh, damn.
Emotion. So he let it, he kind of spilled the beans a little bit, and I just remember it was not pleasant, man. It was sucked. It was not good.
I used to get hurt so much. I had I think 11 sets of stitches by the time I was 8 years old or something.
Man.
I was always out with my stupid cousin. I talked about him before.
Yeah.
We would jump off the 1-story houses and see if we could land on the grass and roll. We would jump out of trees. We see if we can climb telephone poles. They had like those little bars on the side.
Is that there must?
We
I bet there's some
skateboard
log
everywhere, and I hit a rock, I'd go down, boom.
Oh, I hated that,
dude.
That was the worst feeling, skating, and then your board just stops when you hit
This
that
is one of the most traumatic times of me as a child. I was riding my skateboard over to my grandmother's house by myself. It's like a small hill going down. I'm on the sidewalk. I felt all like cool, you know, so I'm like looking around, and I look to my left, and I hit a rock, and skateboard just stops, and I fucking swan dive. It felt like I was 20 feet in the air, dude. And it was like in slow motion, but I couldn't move. You know what I mean? I landed, I'm diving, like chin to the ground and on my chest.
Wow.
So it completely split my chin open, right?
Because it took you by such surprise, you didn't have time to get your hands out.
Yeah.
Right?
It was such. Wow. I was kind of like going at this angle, so I thought I was going to go off to the side into this bush. Nope. I went straight down the fucking sidewalk, right onto my chest. I wasn't even worried about like the blood. I couldn't breathe because it was like the first time I really knocked the wind out of me to where I just couldn't breathe at all. Yeah. And I sit up and I look to my left, and I'll never forget this. It's so weird. It was this dude driving this convertible old 60s Cadillac, and he looked exactly like Elvis Presley. And he was pointing at me, and he was laughing, dude. He was just like, ha, 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 ha.
Wow.
And I was like sitting there not breathing. I'm like, fuck you. So
fuck you, Elvis.
What year was this? Was this really maybe
1955?
This was 95 or something, or 94.
Wow.
Somewhere around there.
Is it possible? I mean, is it possible that
Elvis that could have been the real deal?
Yeah.
No.
What
It was ridiculous. But so
you know that guy's a criminal when he sees a kid nearly die and he just laughs and points at you.
It's a different era.
I mean, I had to look really. I'm sitting there like gasping for air, and I'm just dumping blood out of my chin, like all over my shirt and everywhere. And the guy's just laughing. I'm like, whatever, I can appreciate it now. But so I still have to go to my grandmother's house, right? And me being a dramatic kid, I make it like halfway. It's probably like a mile away, you know, at this point. And I like sat down. I'm like, I'm dying. And I get up and I skate the rest of the way to my grandmother's. As I'm walking through the front door, I reach my pocket and my key's not there for the house. I'm like,
it's worse and worse.
So I had to skate my busted ass all the way back to where I was, where I sat down to
With
go find the key. Yeah,
pouring out of you.
And then, so I finally make it to my grandmother's house, thinking she's gonna give me all this love. I was like, no. I almost just died right now. Right. I think I'm dying. She grabs a washcloth, just scrubs my face with it, and looks at it, and then grabs some scotch tape. Or she might have had those stairs strips. I forget. But she always did shit like this, man. And so she just taped my chin together, and she's like, there, you're fine. And I'm like, should I go get some stitches? She's like, ah.
Had you had stitches before that? Had you known that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. I was on this, you know, those huge beach balls? That same cousin, we would jump on it, and the other one jump on the other side and kind of shoot you off. Well, he jumped off the stairs when I was on it, and it popped me off, and the back of my head hit the corner of concrete stairs.
Ooh.
And just split me open, man. It was bad.
Have you ever done that thing where you hold you cross your arms, your forearms, you and a buddy, you both cross your arms, and then somebody sits on there, and you get a lot of momentum, and then you launch them into the air. This was something you used to do in elementary school.
Were you a cheerleader?
We launched this kid into the air, and there was a point at which I was like, this is badass how high we got him. And then all of a sudden I started thinking, oh, this kid is going way too high. This is not good. And
then the arms start spinning.
Yeah. You know that thing where everything's like doing like this?
This is going to help.
The guy's gotten way too high. Even beyond the physics that he was capable of, he realized he had reached a new stratosphere of, oh, shit. And he got to that, oh, shit, stratosphere. And I saw his hands like doing that. And I was like, oh, man. And I remember having the thought to try to catch him. So me and this other, I'm not kidding how... And of course, we found the smallest kid. He wanted to do it.
They
it was
fly better.
It was consensual, man.
It was consensual.
This guy,
at least I thought
it was. Consensual murder.
He came down, dude. He got so broke. I think he broke his arm. I think he broke it. I can't remember for sure. But there's a point at which.
That's why you don't put your hand down when you're eating
Yeah.
crap, dude. That's one thing I taught my
Try to
sons.
roll into
How do
it or
you-
something.
yeah.
But the thing is
You
there
tuck that, you roll into your shoulder.
there's a certain point for somebody when they reach that age when you as the observer, it's almost not as funny when they reach a certain age and they're falling. You know, it's kind of funnier to watch a kid take a dump like you said, but once they reach a certain age, you're like, oh, you know. But then there's a small part of you that always, I'm sorry, it's still fun. There's a bone that it tickles, and I'm like, it's kind of funny, you know, when you see somebody really take a spill, and you're like, man. But when they get past a certain age, you're like, I shouldn't be laughing at this. You know, this
As
isn't
soon as you
good.
see they're okay.
Yeah,
as
then
soon
you
as
can
you
start
see them,
busting
okay.
up laughing at them.
I remember seeing a girl on my way. I think I was a freshman in college or sophomore, and she took everybody rode their bikes to school, and she took a nasty header over the front of the handlebars. She went flipping, and I mean, the way she flipped, it was like better than anything you would have seen on Jackass. It was like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But man, when I saw her hit, I was like, oh, damn, she might need help. And I went over there. I wanted to help her, and she got up so quick because people all have that instinctive knowledge. They know this is funny, and the funny means that they are embarrassed. And that's the first thing that people, I think, are worried about. Did anybody see this? Am I embarrassed?
Yeah.
Is this funny?
Yeah.
And that was her reaction. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. And I think her jaw looked this, you know, it was like,
hell.
yeah, I was like, oh, and I wanted to help, but then I also didn't want to like make her feel more embarrassed, you know, but I wanted to help her. And it was like,
Did you get her phone number?
She was, dude, I honestly just remember feeling the horror of like, is this girl okay? But she walked away and she got back on her bike and she was pedaling, but it didn't look like, like she was really pedaling correctly, you know? Like,
she only had one leg left.
Not all of the, mechanics were firing on all pistons or something. I don't know. But I was like, oh man, I hope she's all right. You know, brain damage. You know?
I was 17 snowboarding with some buddies, and we were on this weekend trip celebrating someone's birthday, and the slopes were terrible. It was like all icy and stuff. We went for like the next day, kind of partying, you know, and then we grabbed some sleds and we're hitting this one little sled run thing, but at the bottom it was all messed up, a bunch of pools of water, but somebody had made like this little jump thing, but it's all ice, remember? So when we would jump, it would hurt. But we would kind of slow ourselves down a little bit. We're going on those discs. So this girl shows up with her dad, and she was probably like 14 or 15. You know, we're like 17, 18-year-old guys, and she wanted to like hang out, you know. We're like, I don't know. So she was like, can I go? And I'm like, sure, here's the disc. And the dad was like all mad at me for saying she could go. So she ended up going, and for some reason she went twice as fast as any of us. She was smoking down this hill, dude, and luckily the dad was down there because she launched, dude, like twice as far as anybody had done, and I felt bad because she ate shit and rolled in the muddy water and stuff, and I remember I felt terrible, dude. I felt so bad. I was like, everyone else is laughing, I'm just like, this poor girl's gonna be so embarrassed, man.
Yeah, that's the worst. You do feel that like gut-wrenching like sorrow for somebody that they know, you know, they're gonna be embarrassed, but it's like, dude, I need to render aid right now, you know. And plus you had kind of given her permission, so you
I felt responsible.
I felt
totally
responsible.
Man,
probably bored the listeners enough
I
this
think
episode.
they've had enough. Take care and be kind. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. In the meantime, feel free to check us out on Facebook, our website at heroesofhumility.com. Don't forget to subscribe for updates. Thanks for your support.